Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
We are back. I'm with the main man, Daniel Chait, the CEO at Greenhouse. I'm thrilled to be here. First of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is exciting.
Thank you for welcoming the podcast to Transform. How many years have you guys been doing this?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
Anytime we go to a show, I'm like, walk in and just look for the nicest booth. That's Greenhouse. Like, they do a great job, our team, with, set design and just representing the brand. And, then you get out there and mix it up with the customers and see what's happening.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about the brand here. I could take my phone.
Yep.
And I could just throw it as far and hard as I can, and I will hit a competitor. Which one do you want me to hit first question? No, I'm kidding.
Like, we do not advocate
physical violence on the show. It's metaphor.
Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should.
Well, here's my question that I'm leading into. What makes Greenhouse different?
Yeah. So
you like that lead in right there, with violence. No, kidding. No.
So you're right. It is a very crowded, space. There's a lot of ATSs. There always has been. In fact, when we started, we Googled applicant tracking software, and we scrolled down page after page. We got about 400 of them, and we just bored of scrolling. But there's so many more, and new ones coming every year. But you might wonder, well, if that was the case 13 years ago when we started in 2012, why did we start? What did we think we had to add to the conversation? And the point that we made at the time, which I think is still true, is we said, look, we're not in this to do an applicant tracking system. We're in this because there are persistent, meaningful problems in hiring that no one has fixed. And whatever else you want to say, those problems are still there.
There's lots of problems.
So you can look around a trade show, or you can go online and talk to vendors, or whatever you want to do. But the fact of the matter is that the problems are still there. And so we're still out there solving them for our customers.
What problems are still there, Daniel?
Yeah, so fundamentally, most companies, they struggle to make the right hire when they need to make that hire, because it's hard to identify the right talent. It's hard to connect with the right person online, wherever they may be. Nowadays, there's obviously hundreds of millions or billions of online profiles to try to sift through. Applicants are using AI themselves to fill up your funnel, so now there's more and more noise.
I literally have 80 questions in my head as he's talking.
No,
right
it's
now.
but the problems can multiply.
The technology is compounding problems.
And that's right.
It's supposed to solve problems.
A lot of the issues are getting more complicated, not less. And so as I think about what we were trying to tackle when we started, and I look at where we are now, look, I'm proud of the progress we made. Our customers last year filled in 13 million scorecards. That's 13 million hours that someone sat down and had a more intelligent conversation. We collected, our customers did hundreds of thousands of candidate pronunciation and pronouns. Those are all opportunities to give a fair and more inclusive interview experience. I could go on. So we've done a lot, but if you think about it, the problems have gotten bigger faster than we can tackle them.
How do you think we're moving away from the acronym ATS? Or maybe not just the acronym, but instead of applicant tracking system, we're moving into a world where solutions like Greenhouse are solving more than just applicant tracking. They're solving sourcing, they're solving screening, they're solving scheduling. What does this new world look like for TA Tech software?
There's been two phases so far in Greenhouse's history. Since we started in 2012, for about 10 years until about 2022, there was this massive explosion in new technology for recruiting. And it all integrated with Greenhouse. So on average, our customers were using every year more and more of it. By 2022, our customers on average were using over 13 integrated products in each Greenhouse account. And then when interest rates reset and tech really started facing cost pressures and laying off staff, the whole direction of that changed. And from then, it's really been a story of consolidation. But the through line to all of this has been, whether there's more vendors or less vendors, the problems are getting bigger and the solutions are doing more, right? Because the customers are demanding more.
Right.
And so whether that comes from one vendor or five vendors, nonetheless, the problems are, so you talk about applicant tracking system. What I argue is, 30 years ago when I entered the job market, the problem that companies had was they had some applicants and they had to track them in a system, right?
Now our problem's different.
They would put up a want ad in the paper. Like, that's what happened.
Because I remember that.
And they would have applicants, they wanted to track them in a system. And so an applicant tracking system was literally the solution to that problem. Nowadays, that's not the problem people have.
Maybe it's an applicant solution system.
The problems people have are multitudinous and complicated. And so you need really robust technology to tackle it. And by the way, really robust process and talent internal. The software's not magic. You also, as a company, have to show up and do your part.
So what I'm finding out there, it's a volume problem. And I think a lot of companies in tech out there are trying to solve the volume problem because of the market. The market is dictating that it's a supply and demand, where the supply is so high right now, the demand is low. And these tools out there are trying to solve this volume problem, but not the quality problem. What tools does Greenhouse have, either now or that you're innovating, to work on the quality? Here's a kicker. Here's a kicker, Dan. Where we're not sacrificing the human connection and we're allowing more time for the recruiters, the internal teams, to have more of the human time.
That's right. So, what's making this problem worse? I mean, sure, market conditions are what they are, but fundamentally, it's gotten way easier to apply for a job than ever before.
Spot for spot.
Not even click. It used to be,
I used to think about the job.
Again, like when I applied for a job, you went to Kinko's and you printed your resume and put it in an envelope. Then you could click and apply it in ATS. And now your AI agent applies for you to hundreds of jobs, personalize each cover letter and resume. And that's only getting more and more. So it's the market, but it's also the technology available. So the result of that is that if I'm an employer and I open up a role, I may have hundreds or thousands of applicants filling up my pipeline the minute I open the job. And yet the amount of quality in there is not getting any more. It's just a lot more noise.
And the other problem is also you have these products out there for candidates. Because why shouldn't candidates arm themselves with tech and tools when all the
I don't begrudge that. That's what they should do.
The problem is we're getting to bot versus bot and a race to the bottom. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely like a problem on both sides. I don't know that it's a race to the bottom as much as it is really, the way I see it.
Well, I think they're optimizing the resumes to talk that, and they're not qualified.
Your point is, I agree with, is everyone is responding to their own priorities and interests. And so applicants are using this software as they should, as any good job seeker should, try to maximize their chances. And employers are then going like, okay, if the applicants are using AI to increase the number of applications, then employers want to use AI to sift through it. And we're like, this is madness. Where's it end? And I think
it is madness.
if you just extrapolate it out, if it was totally frictionless to apply to any job, and every employee always had, every individual had an agent constantly applying to every job for them, the minute anybody opens a job, all 8 billion humans are in your pipeline right away.
There has to be friction. There has to be friction.
There's no signal. So I think the answer is information, is useful information. And so you asked what we're doing about this. And we're providing AI tools and things like that as well. But those are all, I think, if we talk about stopgaps. What we're doing is we're helping our employer customers showcase useful information about themselves to help them stand out. So what do I mean by that? If you look across our customer base, some of our customers ghost candidates, right?
How do you define ghosting?
Candidates apply to a job, they go through an interview or two, they never hear back.
Generally speaking, do you think if a 100% unqualified candidate applies to a job that a company owes them a response?
I think the amount of response that you're owed should be equivalent to the amount of effort invested.
Clip that there, because I want everyone to understand that, because I completely agree with him, that if a candidate is just spraying and praying or using technology, you shouldn't always expect a response.
You got an auto reply.
You get what you get, and you shouldn't get upset.
You got an auto reply.
My kids.
If you fly in for a day of interviews with our executive team, yeah, you're getting a personalized call from me.
You better be getting a phone call.
So again, and that scales. But my point is, a lot of our employers actually never ghost applicants. They get back every single time, whether you're moving forward or not. Those hiring managers get a badge in Greenhouse, through Greenhouse Verified, that says that they're responsive. Similarly, some of our customers make great use of scorecards. They always create a well-rounded scorecard for every role, and they fill them in, and they use those to make judgments on applicants. And so those behaviors of are you responsive? Are you fair-minded? Mm-hmm. Are you communicative to candidates? That's real information that candidates want to know. And so by surfacing that behavior right in the job application form to the candidates, we can create really unique data that cuts through the noise and let each job seeker know, not all, how do I spam everyone, but that's the job I want. That's the right job for me.
Hey everyone, we'll jump right back into the conversation, but first let's talk about a game changer in hiring, Greenhouse. Greenhouse is the leading hiring platform that helps companies get measurably better at hiring. Because when it comes to building great teams, every hire should be the right hire. With Greenhouse, you don't just fill roles, you transform your hiring with a structured process that ensures fairness, removes bias, and enables data-driven decisions. AI-powered workflows in Greenhouse streamline every step from sourcing top talent to personalizing the candidate experience, allowing recruiters to focus on strategic, high-impact hiring that drives real business outcomes. The result? A faster, more efficient process that turns talent into a true competitive advantage. Over 7,500 companies, including HubSpot, Duolingo, Gong, JD Power, and Scout24, trust Greenhouse to optimize their hiring process and take candidates from talented prospects to top performers. And it's not just the best hiring platform, it's also a great place to work. Greenhouse has been recognized by Fortune, Inc. magazine, Glassdoor, Forbes, and more as a top workplace. Want to hire better, faster, and more fairly? Visit greenhouse.com today and get ready to hire for what's next. All right, back to the show.
And kind of going back to what we said before, this is a thought that's been kind of going through my head as a recruiter. I am all for a bit, and this is going to be a little bit of a hot take, a little bit more friction in the application process, a little bit more effort on the candidate side to weed out some of the automation to see if the candidate is really serious in there. I think there's a fine balance here. And I think that kind of goes with scorecards also, because I've worked with companies, both when I've been an in-house recruiter and an agency recruiter, where people are just like, check, 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 check. How do you design a scorecard where it's not, how do you find that right balance, Dan, where it's, the recruiter is incentivized to give the right information, but it's not overbearing, where it's...
Can I suggest a slightly different frame on what I think you're saying?
Please reframe.
Which is, rather than introducing friction, which is basically just the definition of friction in physics, I took a lot of physics in college, is energy wasted as heat.
You don't want to
right?
waste.
We don't want that. What if I think about it instead as like the energy invested by the applicant in creating more useful information cuts through the noise?
I equals P over C.
Just like the information, just like the energy invested by the hiring manager or the recruiting team creates information that's useful to the applicant. So I think what we're trying to do is create a world where each side in this problem can, if they choose to, invest more energy in their own side of the equation, creating more information for the other side. So rather than say we're going to introduce friction, make it harder, I say let's give each side opportunities to showcase themselves better.
First of all, thank you for the reframe. One thing I just tell everybody here, and a little side note, feedback's a gift, right? When somebody gives you feedback, especially someone as accomplished as Daniel right here, you take it and you think about how to reframe things and reposition it here. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about the power of a strong yes, right? The power of the strong yes. What does that mean?
Strong yes has become an iconic token within the Greenhouse community. And, you know, where it originated was in the product. It was an authentic expression of that feeling when you interview a candidate and you know they have it, right? And I think prior to Greenhouse, there were like numeric ratings and like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then some customers go, oh, we have an 11-point scale. We have a 92-point scale. I'm like, I think that missed something essential, which is hiring's not a math problem. Hiring is a mixture of art and science.
Yes, 100%.
And there's a lot of science involved, don't get me wrong, but we never wanted to lose that heart, that human element. And so when you meet a candidate, sometimes they pass the interview, sometimes they fail the interview. And also, sometimes they're like, you need to pay attention to this person, they're amazing. And sometimes, let's face it, we shouldn't waste our time with this person.
There's also some people that are not great interviewers, but solid background.
So we started with the product of like, yeah, there's a pass-fail, but there's also a definitely not, which is like, let's not waste our time with this person or waste their time. And there was the strong yes, which is like, this is someone we should really lean into. So that it came out of the product, but what it has represented, again, is I think this like elevated idea that there's a heart behind hiring, that people, they're like, oh yeah, you get what we're doing. And there's a feeling when you meet that right candidate that's like exciting and there's some meaning behind it to that job. Like this might be the best job you're ever going to get. And I just found you.
Feel it.
How amazing. And so I think it captures a feeling that that people appreciate.
One of the favorite things I've had geez, I can't believe I'm approaching over 550 conversations with amazing leaders like Daniel here. And I love this question I'm about to ask you because there's a through line, and I assume you're going to say what I think you're going to say, so I'm going to write it down in my head.
Don't be predictable.
When you're hiring,
yes.
When you're hiring and you are the actual decision maker at your level, by the time a candidate gets to you, they have the on-paper skill, they have the experience.
Yes.
Now you need to determine if they're a strong yes in your head. What is your line of questioning? How do you get to that place in your head where you're able to say strong yes?
Yeah. So
what questions
there's
are
a
there?
few things that go into it. So I hate to disappoint you. There's no magical question you can ask someone that's like the ultimate brain
never
teaser.
one question.
You know, that's like, oh, that's the one.
God,
you know,
zinger.
one cool trick to hiring great people. Like, it's not how it works. What I actually do though is, first of all, I'm a big believer that it's the right person for the right role. It's not that like you can take all the people in the world and rank them A to Z as to who's the best person, who's the worst. It's like the right fit for the right job. And so I'm always trying to find out, is this person going to thrive in this situation? And so a big part of that is how do we work together? And so to your point, by the time someone gets to me, they've already got the technical skills, they've already passed a lot of screens. I spend time working with that person. We send them some homework ahead of time. Again, you invest some energy in it as the applicant.
I love it.
You know, we send you some materials.
Energy
and
investing.
And what we ask you is, put some of yourself into this session and then show up and let's work together on it. And it's a sort of simulated, so if I'm hiring someone as an HR leader, it might be a talent strategy question. If I'm hiring someone in a sales leadership role, it might be a go-to-market operations question. But like, let's dig in, like, how do you do annual planning? How do you think about quotas and compensation? And like, let's see if this is gonna work. Let's see if we make each other better. Let's see if there's like a 1 + 1 = 3 between us. So that's a big piece of it for me, is are they the right person for this opportunity that I have on my team?
No, and you want to know how they figured it out. What's their thought process? How did they get to that point? What is keeping you up at night these days as a leader of an organization?
I mean, it's my job is to worry. So as much as like lots of stuff is going well, you know, I have a long list of things I pay attention to. Look, I think any leader today, me or anyone else, undeniably, we're all buffeted by constant change. You know, we talked about AI. We talked about massive changes in the job market. We talked about massive changes in the technology landscape and the competitive, even what does our product category mean? So even just in this short conversation, we've talked about at least 3 trends I can think of that would keep anyone in my seat up at night.
We hit them all right here.
I mean, this is the real stuff. And that's like literally like, if you sit in my leadership team, these are the things that we're thinking about, because, you know, you have to make, as any leader, you have to make big important decisions under lots of uncertainty that have a huge amount of impact. And, you know, one thing I don't worry about is finding opportunities. We have more opportunities because again, our mission is to help every company become great at hiring. And if you're out there listening and you think, oh, every company's already great at hiring, your mission's accomplished, like, you know, I got news for you. I think most people would agree that hiring is far from perfect. And so the opportunities to make things better at the top of the funnel, help companies find the right person, spend money more efficiently, have better data in the middle of the funnel, run a more efficient process, make better decisions, be fairer, be more transparent. And at the end of the funnel, making smart offers, being fair, being more accurate. Like, no matter where you look, there's opportunities. So I don't worry about that. What I worry about is the choices we have to make to capture them. And those are hard, but they're fun.
What a fantastic and insightful answer. We're getting close to bringing it home here, but I want to ask you, let's talk about this greenhouse team here.
Yes.
The work that they've been doing, especially in the last year or so. What has put that biggest smile on your face? What makes you so proud of this team behind you? With you.
You know, anyone can sell. Anyone can program. Anyone can service customers or send out invoices or do any of the other hundreds of things that a company has to do. What makes me really proud of this team is when I see people working together, being entrepreneurial to solve a problem that's going to matter to someone, that's going to be valuable, that's going to help them. And that level of just teamwork and care and dedication to like a bigger purpose, I just always find it inspiring. So to me, more than anything, like, that's what makes me proud.
I absolutely love it. And last but not least, I'm going to go into the I'm gonna go into my. I'm like a 5-tool pitcher here. I'm gonna set up this last pitch over here.
Hopefully,
I'm looking.
I don't swing at the third here.
I'm looking down at my catcher there. I'm seeing the signal here. Got the pitch. What is the single greatest piece of advice, career-wise, that you ever received that you take action on every single day as a leader?
So I was deciding early in my career. Now, if you know me, you know I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole career. So I didn't have that many jobs. I only had one job in New York. I quit and started a company. That was 1997. But when I was getting that job, I had the choice between a job that was high status, brand name company, more money, or a job that was a company you never heard of for a lot less money, but I loved the people, and I loved the mission. And as a young person, I didn't know the right. It's obvious the answer now. Right. I didn't know the right answer. And so I went to a friend of mine, and he said, like, hey, look, what are your choices? I laid it out for him, and he looked at me like, you idiot. This is the most obvious choice in the world. You should take the opportunity to work with people that you like and respect and can learn from on a problem you care about. And I made that decision, and I've always treasured that, and I always navigated my career with those as my guiding principles.
Love it. Daniel Chait, CEO of Greenhouse, here on the podcast, live from Transform 2025. More to come here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wisdom is forever, but for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode soon, jam-packed with more incredible humans. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and sharing. To join the conversation, search the podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.